Well, another day where temperatures started out with a chill and in a lot of places finished off very warm. Now we're setting up for thunderstorms that are developing on the radars, which Joe Rayo will, of course, give you the tour. Severe weather's in the Carolinas at the moment. We also have flash flood watches up for areas from Arkansas to Ohio. This could be a really big rainfall event that's going to transpire later this week. Winter storm watches up in parts of the northern plains. Still some winter weather going on in the Rockies and in the West. And we're still going on here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which you can support by shopping our referral link on Amazon. It's pinned to the top of the chat board. It's also on the descriptor to this podcast. Just use it, search it, do your shopping. Amazon sends us a little bit of coin for sending you there, and it doesn't cost you a cent. It's all out of their pocket, and it helps to keep ads on this show. Uh, Actually, it helps to keep them non-existent during the show. We like to continue to be able to do that. So thank you to those of you who have used our Amazon referral link. I was watching the temperatures today up your way, and it was in the 40s this morning, and it was up near 80 this afternoon in a lot of New Jersey. The winds went to southwest, and the warm fronts actually pushed up to the north, and now we've got some boom booms on the radar, Mr. Rayo.
Well, as predicted, also, I woke up this morning. There was a thick cloak of fog over where I was in Putnam County, and I'm sure that that fog covered a good part of the lower Hudson Valley. And not surprising because, as we said, we had this warm front. I think, Joe, I saw a comment on National Weather Service discussion from New York that the front had gotten through Newark, but it had not yet gotten through LaGuardia, and that there was a significant temperature spread between New Jersey and Long Island. So, but the front is well to our north now. We're in a warm wedge, and as you mentioned, we're now going to be watching showers and storms moving toward us from the west. And with the radar tour that we're about to go through, I'm going to start from south to north. I'm going to go from the Carolinas and work its way all the way north to our area. And I think right now, while there's no watch in effect, I think I saw something from SPC saying that they had a 40% chance of issuing a watch somewhere in the mid-Atlantic, but I don't believe there is one right now. So maybe they've
Yeah,
decided
that
to.
was that was that was a few hours ago, and they never put the watch box up. So
No, they never did. So when I
I
said
got
40% chance, there was a 60% chance they wouldn't do it.
I got the hazards map up so we could you just mentioned about the temperatures and we could kind of take a look at what's going on at the moment. And on Long Island, it's in the mid 50s to upper 40s on the east end. The wind is south southwest. Newark is 68. But they now have a southeast wind. They have a light southeast wind, so it warm fronts up. It's in the mid 60s to near 70 in parts of the Hudson Valley, and middle and upper 60s as you go up into the Catskills. But there's kind of, I guess, there's some kind of sea breeze that's come in too, because Atlantic City is 51, and they have a south southwest wind parallel to the beach at with gusts to 20. So it's 51 there. This is North Haven Beach, right on the beach is 51. I'm sorry, Atlantic City, just inland is at 61. But the warmer air is kind of hairpinned west, along and west of the city and the Jersey coast and Long Island.
Yeah, any squall line of showers and storms, once it hits that leading edge of marine air on the southeasterly wind flow, boom. Not that they're going to fall apart completely, but they are going to have their strength diminished considerably, rapidly, as they interact with the much more stable, cooler southeasterly flow. Anyway, on my screen right now, I'm showing the squall line that you just alluded to, Joe, as it was passing Columbia, South Carolina, which is right smack in the middle of that state. It seems like the areas of showers and storms intensified a bit, and you could see that here. Here's Columbia, and the line again racing along to the east and is just about ready to move offshore now in South Carolina. And now, if we go a little further to the north, as I said, we're going to go from south to north as we track this. Let's go up to Raleigh, Durham, and you can see this same area, this same line of showers and storms creeping in from the west, moving into the Raleigh Durham area. And there seems to be a separate line of activity, one skinny line of orange and red here, and that seems to be intensifying a bit on the final few frames of the loop. But you see now the showers and storms working their way into the central part of North Carolina. Let's continue moving northward now up to, well, let's go to Norfolk, Virginia. This is actually on the eastern shoreline of Virginia, and you can see that the radar is picking up on that activity moving in from the west. And it looks like actually there's a broken line of intense activity. Here's one up here, and there's another that's forming down here. And I'm not sure whether or not, as we progress through the rest of the evening, whether or not both of those lines are going to connect with each other. But in any case, along the Virginia Capes, it's still going to be probably another 2 or 3 hours before this line moves in and on and through the area and then finally offshore. So we continue moving northward. Let's see, we're getting up to, well, we'll take it up to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, and you can see how that line now kind of tilts. It tilts more toward the north and east. And it's a fairly significant line of intense activity, which runs from just to the west of Trenton to just about to the north and west of Philadelphia, not quite into Delaware yet, but also stretches down and across into northeastern sections of Maryland. So the line is there, the line of showers and heavy thunderstorms. And if we continue again on our northward course, let's go up to New York City, and actually not New York City, but to eastern Long Island, Upton, New York. And you can see that the band of showers and storms now crossing into northwestern Pennsylvania, not quite yet into the Hudson Valley or the New York metropolitan area, but one would have to assume with the passage of time, in another hour or two, this line will eventually move into the immediate tri-state metropolitan area, and we will see what we will get in terms of potential downpours, maybe some gusty strong winds, maybe even a touch of hail from this line, which is associated with that cold front. I want to just go back to the west a little bit now. Now that we've seen the coast, let's see into State College, Pennsylvania, and you can see that most of the activity is south and east of State College, and there's actually another area here in south central Pennsylvania that's kind of revving up. So maybe after the initial line moves through into New York City, there'll be another shot of heavy precipitation, maybe later on tonight. I said on my Facebook forecast, Joe, that I thought the best chance or the best time for New York City and environs to get maybe some heavy rain or shower activity would be between about 8 p.m. and 1 a.m. And I think the back edge of whatever passes through here will be moving away to the east by midnight or 1 a.m. We should be pretty well done with that. And by about 3 or 4 in the morning, we'll be done with the precip, and then we'll just have to wait for the skies to clear. It looks like, based upon what I saw, it's going to be a very sharp clearing line moving in. I'd say by 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, an otherwise cloud-filled sky is going to go to almost bright and sunny, and will stay bright and sunny through the rest of the day tomorrow. Not as mild tomorrow as it was today. Temperatures mostly in the mid-50s, and there will be a bit of a gusty breeze out of the north and northwest tomorrow, making it feel a bit chillier than it really is.
All right. And on the GOES satellite loop with the lightning strikes, you can see the northern part of that in eastern Pennsylvania. Uh, Starting to see a lot of lightning strikes going on there. It's a narrow north-south line, as Joe described. We actually have a severe thunderstorm warning up that just went up. This is as of 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time for Chester and Delaware counties in eastern Pennsylvania. And of course, the lightning strikes it's just like this long, narrow line with some breaks from northwest New Jersey running down through Virginia, and there's a little gap, and then it redevelops as you head into North Carolina and down into coastal South Carolina, getting those storms now. We had them moved through here around midday to early afternoon here in North Georgia. I was actually on the northern fringe. We heard some thunder, but it wasn't anything terrible. But the storms to the south of me, actually, there were a lot of trees that were taken down in and around the Atlanta area. We've got new energy coming into the west that's going to be setting up for more severe weather in the coming days in the plains and in the Midwest and in the Ohio and Tennessee Valley. So SPC is not going to get much of a break. Here's the wide radar look in the east, and you see the yellow boxes to the south. Let me give this a quick refresh. And there's that uh, severe thunderstorm warning in southeast PA and Chester and Delaware counties. And you've got a few severe thunderstorm warnings in play right now in central North Carolina and now moving into eastern parts of South Carolina and coastal Georgia. This is also a trailing back area of showers through West Virginia down into western North Carolina and actually not too far from me. So I don't know if that holds together. It's gotten cloudy here again. And out in the west, as we said, more energy coming in. So we've got varying areas of rain and snow depending on where you're located. A purple box you see in southern Wyoming is a snow squall warning. So they've got some winter weather that is going on out there in the west. The watches and warnings map tonight. We are looking at uh, what's left of severe thunderstorm watches up in North and South Carolina. The flash flood watches are up now for southern Ohio, southern Indiana, southern Illinois, much of Kentucky, western Tennessee, western half of Tennessee, northern Mississippi into Arkansas. This area, some of these places are going to see up to 10 inches of rain uh, eh, over the next 5 or 6 days. Winter storm watches up through the Dakotas into Minnesota. We're seeing various advisories and winter storm warnings in the Rockies and in the Wasatch and also in the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. And the Storm Prediction Center uh, enhanced, enhanced, I should say. This is the risk area that they set up for this evening. So they've been gradually updating this as it moves further to the east, but we still have some leftover enhanced risk in North and South Carolina, and it's pretty much played out in Southwest Georgia. The slight risk was pushed up today into Western Long Island, including New York City, the Hudson Valley, and the Catskills, Eastern PA, and New Jersey, and points south. Now tomorrow we're going to go to the next new area, and it's a slight risk from central Texas northeastward into Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Illinois. There is an area of enhanced risk that is being indicated in southeast Kansas, and that area is also being marked for a 10% risk of tornadoes. And day three, I think this is what the third time in the last 2.5 weeks that we've seen. It almost looks like the maps have been almost identical each time. Enhanced risk again, Northeast Texas, northern Louisiana, up the middle Mississippi River Valley into the Tennessee and Ohio valleys, and reaching up into the lower lakes. I'm thinking that rain is going to wind up eventually being the bigger deal here after the severe storms play through, and it's may actually be a combination of both. But this certainly looks like it could be a robust outbreak here come Wednesday into Thursday.
I did mention the possibility here in the tri-state area. Excuse me. I'm fighting this head cold that I caught from my grandson last week, so I apologize for not being able to enunciate or to sound clearer than what I am right now. I'm semi-clogged, if you will. But I would go for showers and storms here on Thursday. Then the front, instead of pushing nice, right through our area and allowing for a clearing trend for Friday and the weekend, kind of subsides to our south. We get into a brief period of dry weather, it would appear, Joe, on Friday, but then unfortunately, we're going to see the front kind of bounce back toward us. Another front coming in from the west, putting a squeeze play on us, bringing back rainy weather here, it would appear, for part of Saturday and maybe spilling over right on into Sunday. So, right now, if any of you have any weekend plans out of doors, may want to put them indoors because it looks like we could be in line for a rather unsettled and unfortunately rather dreary weekend ahead.
And by the way, on day 4, SPC has a large area of slight risk from northeast Texas and southeastern Oklahoma northeastward through Tennessee, Kentucky, into West Virginia, Ohio, and southwestern Pennsylvania. This is for Thursday into Friday. And look at these rainfall forecast amounts. That yellowish area, Joe, is 10 inches plus across a good chunk of northeast Arkansas, western Tennessee, western Kentucky, southeast Missouri, southernmost Illinois. That brown area is 7 inches. And that goes further north and northeast into southern Indiana and further east into northern Kentucky. And the next color down is 5 inches, and that reaches up into southeast Ohio and on one side, and it's back into northeastern Texas on the other. With the front behaving as you alluded to, it's going to mean a lot of energy is going to be focused in this zone in the middle Mississippi River Valley, extending down even into the lower part of that and north and east into the Ohio Valley. This looks like a really significant rain event here that's going to occur.
Well, anything to me, anything over 3 inches is significant. And here you are talking about numbers like 7 and 10. I mean, my goodness. I mean, how do you deal? And this is not, these poor folks here have been going through this more frequently than anything else over the last, 4 to 6 or 6 to 8 weeks. They're ready to drown.
Oh, yeah, true. Inch and a half amounts plus in New Jersey to New England. Now, some of that's tonight. So it's a little front end loaded, but not totally front end loaded. So I'm going to bring up the GFS upper air. I'll probably switch over to might as well use the European. Why not? Um, and look at what's going on. We've been talking about troughing that's dropping into the west. Here's the system for today. Trough over the Great Lakes, kind of swinging eastward. It's through here tomorrow morning, but energy pouring into the west and then dropping southward. There's a cutoff low that forms up in the Dakotas on Wednesday. Then also another short wave that drops down into New Mexico and Arizona. And in the east, we're going to get a ridge that's going to build up the eastern seaboard. So a weather front coming eastward is going to hit that ridge and have a really tough time pushing southeastward or eastward. The ridge just kind of sits there going into the Friday and the weekend while deep troughs continue to drop down into the west. And you've got this really long fetched southwest flow. I just backed it to Thursday, but there's this long fetched southwest flow that comes down into almost down into the subtropical Pacific and then runs northeastward right up into the zone where WPC is pointing out for the big rains. I mean, it kind of makes a lot of sense given what the upper air looks like.
Yeah, that problem with that big ridge offshore, that's going to be the key to what we're going to see later on in the week and into the weekend because that ridge is going to flex its muscles, so to speak, and slow everything down. And that is going to be the problem for the weekend is that that slow movement is going to eventually lead to a long duration period of wet weather. Saturday, I think, may start off dry in parts of the New York metropolitan area, but by midday and especially afternoon and on into Saturday night and on to into a good part of Sunday, it is just going to be just plain all out cloudy, dank, dreary, and wet. I'm not sure yet how much, you know, total precip we're going to get out of all of this, but it's going to be rather. It looks like it's going to be a rather depressing weekend, the first weekend of April.
And by the way, after next weekend, the pattern changes radically because a week from today, we've got a deep trough dropping into the eastern part of the United States and a big ridge building up the west coast. And look at all this energy that drops down into the eastern United States the week of the 8th to the 12th, and one trough after another, coming into the eastern part of the United States. This is for this time of year, this is a very chilly looking upper air that we're just seeing the European deliver.
And CPC, the Climate Prediction Center, agrees 100% with what you just said, Joe, because on my screen I just um, posted or am sharing now the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from CPC, and you can see that I would have to say 75 to 80% of the nation is going to be experiencing near to below normal temperatures, or at least the probability of below normal temperatures here in the Northeast. We're just getting into that for the 6th through the 10th of April. Look down here across southern and central Texas and on up into northern Louisiana, southern sections of Arkansas. This dark shade of blue corresponds to 80 to 90% probability of below normal temperatures. So it is going to be an unusually chilly period of weather from the 6th through the 10th of April. And if you're wondering about beyond that, let's say the 8 to 14 day outlook, well, in the 8 to 14 day outlook, it is still, if anything, below normal. In fact, it looks like that area of below normal is going to expand a bit more into the mid Atlantic, Ohio Valley, southeastern states, and now trying to eke into a portion of the northeastern United States, across southern sections of Pennsylvania, from the 8th through the 14th. So, as you said, Joe, we're going to have a major flip in terms of temperatures once we get into the early part of April. And to emphasize this even more so, take a look at this. This is the risk of hazardous temperatures. In other words, temperatures that in this case are going to be averaging below normal. And there's a slight risk that runs all the way from West Texas, all the way up to northern Missouri, southeastern Iowa, the lower Great Lakes, and almost up into our neck of the woods. This would be for the 8th through the 10th of April. And then there's a moderate risk of below normal or hazardous low temperatures across central Texas and enveloping much of the Central Plains, much of the central and lower Ohio and Tennessee River Valley, down to the Mississippi River Valley as well, into western sections of the Carolinas, western Virginia, and a portion of West Virginia as well. So all of a sudden, as we move into April, a flip toward colder conditions, chillier conditions at least, as we progress. It looks like maybe almost to the middle part of next month. So it gets cold now. You know, some of you are saying, "Oh, well, if it gets cold, maybe it might get cold enough for us to see some flaky weather, unusually flaky conditions." Well, let's see. The precipitation outlook for the 6 to 10 day from CPC shows above normal up in northern New England, and mid Atlantic down to the southeast is above normal or leaning toward above normal, but near normal across our neck of the woods here in the Northeast, and actually running below normal further west into the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes. And beyond that, for the 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook, look at this. Virtually, like I'd say, 85 or 90% of the country is going to be below normal. Colder here in the east, but below normal to near normal. The only place that would be above normal would be across the central and southern sections of the Florida Peninsula. Otherwise, again, most areas from the 8th to the 14th, according to the Climate Prediction Center, are going to be below normal in terms of precipitation. So it looks like overall, as we move at least into the first half of April, it's going to be turning colder or chillier than normal in most sections east of the Mississippi, and also averaging near to below normal in terms of precipitation.
Driller G hits the tip jar tonight, formerly Mark G. Was having some trouble getting on the channel lately, and apparently it's a known problem where some people aren't able to access the chat board for whatever reason. among other things. But glad to see that you got back, and thank you for hitting the tip jar. By the way, welcome to everybody tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast on the chat board and in the background. We're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. And the occasional Friday and Saturday when there's a storm around. Subscribe and turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. And of course, if you like the show, hit the like button. So I'm back to the European surface, which I lately it's really kind of done a very good job at handling these things, and it continues to do so today. You can see what's coming through tonight in the east. So you see the moisture that's coming into the west, and there's that new low. I love when these lows in the Rockies and in the plains, when they first pop up, they start out as 980 something lows. The pressures are so low there out in the west. We've got a chilly high in Canada building in for Tuesday and Wednesday, and this low is going to do what the last few have done. It's going to strengthen and head up into the western lakes, and it's going to probably be another round of some snows for the northern plains into Minnesota and up into Michigan. You see, the European actually gets pretty bullish there with the dark blue. But also note the trailing cold front and the thunderstorms that pop up Tuesday night across East Kansas, Oklahoma into north central Texas, and then spread eastward. There's also some storms that are probably on the edge of that warm front that pushes into Ohio. And then it gets really busy during the day Wednesday in Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Western Tennessee, Arkansas, down into Louisiana. And again, as Joe described, the front pushes east, but it doesn't, has a tough time getting through. Little batch of moisture that comes through Wednesday night and Thursday, most of it upstate New York into New England. But on the southern end of that, where it stalls from say West Virginia southwestward into southern Arkansas. So along that boundary, you're seeing a lot of thunderstorms that aren't really going anywhere. And that continues Thursday and Friday. More energy with another low trying to come out of the Gulf states there, out of the Western Gulf or Texas, pushing more rain up through the Mississippi River Valley and into the Ohio and well, into Ohio and Western Pennsylvania, and pushing some of that over the eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England zone over on Saturday, and very busy in the lower Mississippi Valley with more thunderstorms, the Tennessee Valley, the Ohio Valley. This is a very, very wet pattern that is setting up with that southwest flow. It's really like a southwest fire hose from the Pacific, where it dips down south of Baja California and then turns northeastward from there. So eventually, which would probably mean next Sunday or Monday, as that deep trough drops down into eastern Canada and into New England, is when we finally clear things out. And then with that colder looking pattern, the one upside will be that the severe weather events may shut down for a little while. We'll have to wait and see. Here comes another front with another low. Then it's, the Europeans got some kind of low uh, in the Central Carolinas that runs up the East Coast inland around the 13th or 14th. But it definitely looks like WPC, CPC, and given what the upper air is showing, it's a pattern change that starts late this weekend and then really takes hold into a colder pattern for the east and a much warmer pattern in the west for next week and possibly even the week after that.
And again, a lot of the people who are winter weather lovers, but actually, you can't complain. We had the cold. This was, in fact, the coldest winter in the New York metropolitan area in over a decade. So we did have the cold. We just didn't have the snow. That would have made a lot of the snow lovers happy. But there's always next year, Joe.
Well, as Clarice would always say, there's always tomorrow for dreams to come true. All right, let's do a little bit of Briller Jeopardy, and before we wrap this up for tonight, By the way, there's a new episode of Weather Legends. So if you go on, I put the links up on Facebook and on Twitter. So if you go on the Weather Legends YouTube page, you'll find the latest show that we did this afternoon. Okay, so tonight on Briller Jeopardy, Joe, it's April weather in New York City. So let's start with the highest. Well, this is easy. The highest temperature in the month of April.
Well, I think the highest, the highest has been matched more than once. I think it was 96, and one of those 96s was Easter Sunday in 1976, April the 18th. But it was tied or matched by another day in April more recently. But I don't think we've ever seen a temperature higher than 96 in the month of April at Central Park.
That is correct. 96 and April 17th, 2002.
Right. So that matched the Easter of 1976 with that 96-degree temperature.
But I don't think I'm trying to remember. Was that? I have a vague memory of that weekend. Um, I'm just wondering if that was if that was Easter weekend. I don't think it was the one in 2002.
No, I don't think so.
It might
No,
have been the
obviously.
week. It might have been the weekend after
Right.
Easter.
I
In
think
other words, Easter was the weekend before.
Tom Contino asking on the chat board when Easter is this year. Easter is April the 20th. It's unusually late this year. The latest that Easter can go, by the way, is April 25th. That will happen in the year 2037, but we're within 5 days of that this year on April 20th. And incidentally, the rule, Joe, and I think I may mention this before, the rule for Easter is it comes on the first Sunday after the first full moon of spring.
Which is
Well,
April 13th.
April 13th. No, it's April 13th. Yeah, April 13th in Europe, April 12th here in our part of the world. It
Right.
comes like 8 o'clock in the evening on April 12th, but it comes after midnight on April 13th in Europe. And so the rule is the first Sunday after the first spring full moon, which pushes that date a week, 1 week later, which is why it comes later this year on April the 20th.
Okay, you are correct. Um, this is kind of weird. Lowest temperature in April.
Now the question is, have we ever gone below? Yeah, I would have to think that we've been below freezing at Central Park in April, at least once. We certainly had a blizzard, for God's sake, in 1982 on April the 6th, and I know we had an exceptionally long string of cold days following that storm, and certainly on some of those days the temperature did go below freezing. But the question is, how low can we go? Um, I'll say the lowest temperature in April. I should know this. I should have done my homework and looked at this. I mean, I know the hottest temperature in April. Why wouldn't I know the lowest temperature? I'll say 23.
Um, I gotta check something. Hold on a second. Just a minute. I gotta check this because it's typed kind of weird, so I'm not. Um, let's see. Uh, 19. Oh God, why are they doing this to me?
I don't know,
April,
Joe. Why are they doing this?
January, February, March, April. Um, okay, so on April 1st in 1923, the low was in New York City was 12.
Wow.
12. A dozen. Now, to follow up on that, the coldest daytime maximum temperature.
I'm sorry, I'm struggling here with my voice.
No, I understand.
Excuse me.
When you have the incubus of viral plague, what are you supposed to do?
What did Lucy say? It's a den of germs out there.
Correct.
Uh,
The coldest
um,
daytime maximum. You've
I'm trying.
alluded to this many times, by the way, just as a hint.
I've alluded to this.
Yeah, you just did a few minutes ago.
Oh, well, how about 31?
That's very close. Very close. Tom Contino is very close on the date. April 6th, 1982 is actually April 7th of 1982, where the high temperature, Tyler Fenger's close at 32, but the answer is 30. 30 for the coldest, in other words, the lowest high temperature. And the biggest snowstorm in April.
Uh, well, I would say 9.6. I know is the amount
Right,
that was.
which was the second biggest snowstorm in April.
Okay, so I know there was one that was earlier in the calendar year or calendar date. Um, so obviously it has to be more than 9.6. I'll say a flat out 10 inches. I have no clue what the year was, but I'll say 10 inches for
Well,
the
I
for
I
the
will give you a win with that. Chuck Cardillo said 11. David said 11. And to me, that's close enough. And the answer is 10.6. So I guess you win by Price is Right rules, but in terms of the straight line math, the other ones who said 11 were a little closer. And it was April 3rd, 1915.
yeah, those are
April
early.
3rd, 1915.
Wow.
So I just thought this was funny. No, I was in Blue Ridge on Saturday at my at the local at the cigar store there, and I'm good friends with the guy Tim who works there in the on the weekends. And a customer walks in, and he goes in. I think he went. He walked in. He was looking for something in the humidor, and he came out and he couldn't find it. And Tim showed him that it was right there in front of him. And he said, Tim said, and I quote, are you ready?
Yeah.
If it was a snake, it would have bit you. So
uh,
I got a chuckle out of that. Not the only one that knows Fred Mertz.
the the Lucy that was yesterday on Me TV was the episode where they had just moved into their brand new house in Connecticut. There was a windstorm. Remember that one?
Oh yes, and the squirrel walking on the roof or something.
Yeah, exactly,
Did
exactly. And of
did
course,
you know? By the way, did you know? Because I've been seeing clips on Reels when the episode when they were in Paris and Lucy wants a Jacques Marcel dress
right.
and they're sitting at the restaurant and the models come walking around the corner wearing these utterly ridiculous, and of course, you know, the women love the dresses, the men think it's like it's Halloween because they just look so weird. But one of those models was is her name was Georgia Holt, and she was the mother. Was the mother of someone very famous, Georgia Holt. Can you guess who?
No,
I will give you a hint. Um, Probably more famous as a in the music industry, although she is an Academy Award winner actress.
I have no clue. And you say
Vincent
that
Croce nailed it. Our first one on the board, he got it. Cher.
you're kidding me.
That was
Really?
Cher's mother, Georgia Holt.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Doesn't say anything. She just walks around the corner in front of just walking down in front of the restaurant, and she's wearing, you know, what looks like a potato sack, and is considered high fashion. So anyway, it was just a little bit of trivia there. And I also saw the scene where the opening scene to when they're driving to California and they have to they got lost in the Tennessee mountains and they they have to go through Bent Fork.
Right.
So they're with they're at they stop at what they think is a gas station, but it's actually someone's house. And you know, that's where they find out that they're on their way to Bent Fork. I'm stalling because I'm trying to think of the name of the character actor, the guy who's playing this role of sort of the country bumpkin, also is another was a famous director. I'm sorry, producer, and I now his name completely slips out of my mind, so I can't even I can't remember. I have his face is right in front of me, and I can't remember. Oh well, you know what? Between now and tomorrow, it'll come to me. So,
The guy who played, by the way, Teensy and Wincy's father, the guy who kept the jail,
yes, hmm
Will Wright.
right, Will Wright.
He was a very famous character actor, and you may remember that he also played Ben Weaver in the Andy Griffith Show. In fact, there was one very poignant episode, Christmas episode,
Christmas episode. Yeah.
where he's trying to get himself thrown in the clink because they were having a party inside. You know, he's outside and he's not able to join the party because he was a cantankerous old, guy who nobody really liked. But it was a very, as I said, a very poignant episode. And he was the one who played Teensy and Wincy's father in the episode with I Love Lucy.
He was
And
also in several Perry Mason episodes. And Teensy and Weensy, they were the Borden sisters.
really, and
That's who Teensy and Weensy were, the Borden sisters.
I think they actually, I read somewhere where one of them was still alive as of 2009. I'm sure they're both
Yeah,
gone now.
they also appeared in some sitcoms, other sitcoms in the 80s and 90s along the way. So,
Yeah.
um, well, anyway, little useless trivia, and why not?
Yes.
All right, we're going to be back tomorrow night at our usual time, folks, 7:35 p.m. Eastern time. So hopefully you had a great weekend, and you got through the temperature drama of Saturday. And we will see you all tomorrow night at 7:35. And Griller G, formerly Mark G, thank you very much for hitting the super chat tip jar. Really do appreciate it. All right, we'll see you all tomorrow. Night, night.
Good night, folks.